You are listening to Indie Radio, where we do content the indie way.
Four minutes left. Three minutes left. Two minutes. One minute. Thirty seconds. 10 seconds.
infected ones. Welcome to part 2 of my podcast premiere, which is the origin of horror movies. Today, we have some more people joining us, but first, let me introduce the guys that were with me last week. The first one is going to be Kirk Smith. Hi, Kirk. Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hello. Great.
That's
good.
awesome. That's good. That's good. You're outside. You're outside with the walking chickens and all that stuff. Anyway, it's a joke. So with us also is Kente Ferguson. Hi, Kente.
Hey, how's it going, fine peoples?
Good, good, good. How are you been doing? How was your week?
My week is amazing. I had a wonderful week, and I'm so glad to be here with you great people.
Awesome. Next, we have Jen. She is joining us from Hawaii, and it's been a little bit, but she's back. Hi, Jen.
Hey, thanks you so much for letting me be part of this podcast. It has been a hot minute.
Yeah, this is going to be so much fun. I'm so stoked. And also with us is Josh. Hi, Josh.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
You know, I've been on a pretty steady stream of getting things done, so I'm feeling accomplished.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been pretty productive this week too. I got my ID in the mail. I was super stoked for that. Yeah, it's been a minute. And then let's see, I got a job. Lots of good stuff. So, all right. So last week we started talking about the origin of horror movies, and we were going over like Night of the Living Dead and The Blob and all that kind of stuff. And then we kind of moved over to slasher films and what our favorite films were and what our favorite creatures were and all that kind of stuff. So this week I thought we could go for more obscure movies, maybe movies that people haven't seen before. So I think that Kirk would be a great lead to this because he knows all about weird movies.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, actually, one I thought of actually right when we stopped broadcasting last week, and because I couldn't think of the name of it during the broadcast, and it came to me afterwards. Frailty.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
Actually, the only movie done by Bill Paxton, actor. I think it was where I was at. I think it was out for like a week. I saw it during that week. So, a great movie. Unbelievable. Probably one of the best endings I've ever seen in a horror movie. One of the most satisfying, anyway. Actually.
Yeah.
But, and it's something I touched on last week, and I like the fact that it's not really a monster; it's a human being, but they believe is a killer, and how the kids deal with him, and it's just a great movie. It's just unbelievable movie.
And I think that Matthew McConaughey plays a great role in it.
Yeah, he's only in there for a little bit, but he's very good in the movie. He's excellent.
Absolutely.
Have you
guys seen it? No, have you guys seen it?
Oh yeah, good movie.
Yeah, that was a good movie. That was a really good movie.
Good one to come up with too. Now, does the movie have to be good that we bring up?
No, not at all.
That could be way out there. Yeah.
Now, I got a movie, and you probably have never heard of it, but I remember this because we when I was younger, we used to rent a movie, and then friends would come over and watch it, and we always would try to find like the horror movies or whatever. And this movie, it was called Rawhead Rex. And and I remember this movie. This movie was gross as hell, stupid as hell too, but it was pretty entertaining. As you can see, look how he looks. He looks like a goofball. But I'm sure you guys probably never heard of this film, but
I've
trust
heard of it.
me,
I just never seen it. I have heard about it though.
yeah.
Who was the director on that? I
I don't even know. Let me see. Who is the director on this? It's
Oh.
probably somebody that never worked again. It was a Clive Barker screenplay. Okay, and it was directed by George Pavlov. So
Yeah, which brings me actually, if I can talk about another, I guess you would call it a horror movie. You were talking about Clive Barker, Nightbreed.
oh yes,
Yeah, which is has in there David Cronenberg as the villain, and that's another guy I wanted to talk about because we didn't get to talk about him last week. So
yes.
so yeah,
Nightmare.
but Nightbreed is a pretty wild movie. If you've ever now they just came out with the director's cut version, I believe, and it adds more of the creatures, I guess. Really cool movie, just different and it kind of I like the performance by Cronenberg in there too. So
I had to give a shout out to my friend Elijah because he's a nerd too, and I was super excited that he was watching. But anyway, I did not see Nightbreed, but I'm sure it was a great movie. What about you, Josh? Have you ever what obscure movie do you like?
My biggest issue when it comes to obscurity is when I see something, I assume everybody's seen it. So I don't really know if it's obscure, but I can throw out a title that I don't think got as much mainstream attention as it might have deserved, and that's Ghost Ship. 2002.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
That cable snapping scene just blew my mind from one end of the boat to the other.
Josh, I knew you were going to say that. I just knew it.
I can't remember who's in Ghost Ship. I can't remember who is.
Gabriel Byrne is in it.
Oh
Wow.
You're right. That it kind of is an obscure movie unless
I had heard about it.
unless you're really into horror.
So it's like one of those you don't know unless you know.
But that opening scene is, I think a lot of people know that opening scene because they've seen it in montages of, hey, this is how you start a movie. Like this is really good. But I wasn't particularly thrilled with the rest of the movie, but I am totally with you on that opening scene. It was
take or leave it. That
It was
opening
really
got
good.
me.
All right, Jen.
Actually, my favorite obscure horror movie is one that we actually did on Cinema du Fromage called Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I love that movie. I love it for all kinds of different reasons. It absolutely always makes me really happy to see. It's in a class all by itself because it's super dated just based on what you see. But it's this idea of the vampire totally reimagined. I just really like it.
Yes, I like that. Let's scare Jessica to death.
I'd say, as far as Cinema du Fromage goes, it is the biggest surprise-like movie that I've seen from the lists we've done so far. It was the one that I wasn't expecting to really get into, but by the end of it, I was like, "This movie's great."
Okay, my pick is going to be 13 Ghosts. It was not very, I don't know. It wasn't very played in theaters. It didn't get a lot of promotion, but I really liked it. I really liked the Juggernaut, and the ending was pretty cool, and the whole house was really cool too. I thought it was well done.
So are you talking about the 1960s version, or are you talking about?
I've seen that one.
Which one are you talking about?
The newer one. The newer one.
This is
The one I got on the screen.
Also
okay,
directed
okay.
by Steve Beck, I believe, who did Ghost Ship.
Because they have a very similar story. The 1961 has it's almost exactly the same, except for a couple of things that happen that don't happen in the 1960s version that do happen in the later one. But I love the late. I'm with you. I love the later one. The special effects in that were great. I saw somebody post this, and I think it's absolutely true. Some director writer could make $1 billion by creating a 13 ghosts with origin stories for the 13 ghosts, because they are just so imaginatively done. I absolutely love them.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen that one, but Frighteners is another one that doesn't get talked about a lot either. Peter Jackson movie, Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. I think that's a really different take on ghost stories and the actual ghost story. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I agree. Frighteners is a good one.
Okay, so how about like any older movies? Like I know Kirk has a couple that he wanted to talk about. Which ones were they again?
I think we talked about them last week. One was Eyes Without a Face.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah, that creeped the hell out of me because I knew nothing about that movie going into it, and that ending still gets to me. It's extremely creepy. And what was the other? Well, actually, I talked about it too. Night of the Hunter is 1955. The Robert Mitchum as the preacher. Um, it was directed by Charles Lawton. Another director, another actor, I guess. Yeah, the only movie he ever directed. So
This movie, I don't know if it's a thriller, but this is an example of a movie that starts off amazing and then dies on the back end. Is When a Stranger Calls, the original.
Oh,
Like that movie has one of the best openings of a film. You know that whole, urban legend about the babysitter and all that, and the killers in the house, and then it's like after that opening, it's just downhill pretty much from there. It's like they came up with a great beginning to the movie, but couldn't figure out how to end it up. But it starts off. It's one of the best starts of a movie. Is When a Stranger Calls. And they
yeah,
remade it, and the remake wasn't good.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. Rosemary's Baby was good, but it wasn't as good as like I wanted it to be. Like I was like expecting something like super awesome and like I don't know.
yeah, I
Maybe
was expecting a little more from that movie. I think that's kind of an overrated film, actually.
really? You think Rosemary's Baby is an overrated film?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe have to watch it again. I guess I don't know, but um, I don't know. It just didn't do anything for me. It didn't. It didn't. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, so here's one that I thought was like super gory and oh my god. I saw it when I was like 18. It was called Dead Alive and is considered one of the most goriest um movies in at at that point. Like there was this one zombie scene and it had a lawnmower mowing down the zombies, and like it was really bloody, and it was cheesy too, like super cheesy. But my friend Rick, like, he stood by this movie, like he was like, yeah, this is the best movie ever. So like we watched it like a lot. Have you guys seen it?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
No.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Tori.
Previous-
Yeah,
Sorry, can I ask you a question?
absolutely.
Not that I want to go back to Rosemary's Baby, but I just want to ask a question in general and see if maybe this sort of is what people think. Do you think that the because of the origins of horror, right? Because of the different eras that horror is released in, that our expectations, even looking backwards across time, even understanding kind of where people were in terms of what was happening in the world when these movies came out. Do you think that sometimes it's hard for us sitting in the place that we are right now to get a really good read on whether something is scary, whether it scares us today, as opposed to what it would do to somebody who is sitting in the theater, say in the 1950s or the 1960s? Sometimes I really wonder if that plays into why we have sort of a little bit of a disconnect between some of the older
I think
movies and some of the newer ones.
that happened with that happened with me, not with Rosemary's Baby, but with The Exorcist.
Oh yeah,
I saw the director's cut at a theater, and the audience I was with were laughing through most of the movie, which I thought was strange.
That was me.
And people not people not getting it, or just they weren't scared, or maybe it was nervous laughter or whatever. But that yeah, I thought that was kind of strange, and I don't that movie is still jolting to me in a lot of ways. But it doesn't affect people like, I don't know.
I think a film that I mean, you might say it's science fiction, but I think it has a lot of horror elements to it. Is Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
Oh yeah.
The
Oh yeah. Yes.
1978 version. I mean, that's a horror film in a way.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely.
And that movie still holds up, and that was in the 78. So, you know, like and that ending, that's one of the greatest endings.
Well, the
ever
original,
in a movie.
the original still holds up too. So it's
Right.
So I think, to address what Jen was saying, I think that maybe if I was born in like the 60s and I saw Rosemary's Baby, or, you know, like if I was born in that time era, I think that I might have taken it a lot differently. It probably would have scared me a little bit more. But maybe because of all the stuff that goes on and how violent TV is now, maybe it's just not as scary as it should have been to me. You know what I mean? Like maybe I'm like, oh, you know, but I see what your point is. Like, when we go watch like Night of the Living Dead, and like some people might be like, oh, that's so cheesy or so played out or whatever, and they might not get like the greatness of the movie itself. Like,
right.
so I just said we have become to it in mainstream. Yeah. And like horror movies has become a cult classic too. So like it's not like innovative in a sense that like it's actually drawing an entire genre. Like it's creating its own genre. It's actually just feeding off of things that came about it, you know? So I completely understand what you're talking about.
Well, the reason that I ask is because, in a similar way to what Kirk was saying about Rosemary's Baby, I had somebody tell me that they didn't think that The Birds was a scary movie, and I really had to like stop and take pause with that because first of all, Hitchcockian, everything that is Hitchcock is different in terms of just suspense / horror, but there is something viscerally scary about what happens in that movie. And what was interesting was the way that they phrased it, which was, how could something be scary in black and white? And also, why would it be scary? These people were just in a house and there was a flock of birds around them. Like, I mean, they just didn't. They didn't see the tension. They didn't see any of the things that I see when I watch that movie. And that's why I was wondering if maybe we had become a little bit desensitized, and so we just are not sometimes seeing what makes something scary.
And also,
A
like,
lot
they're
of
so
people-
desensitized. You know what I mean? Go ahead,
a lot
Kurt.
of
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people have a hard time with movies that kind of build up to a scare, or build up to movies that kind of take their time, or don't explain too much, and kind of let the audience kind of make up their own mind. One movie that I absolutely love, and I get both sides of it. People hate it and people love it. Is The Witch.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I absolutely love that movie. That scared the crap out of me. Still does. Um, and I don't. And I was trying to figure out why. I think it's because they didn't explain a lot, and they showed bits of things like, what the hell was that? I mean, what's going on with that? And they never. They kind of let the audience fill it in, and which I thought was cool. Um,
I think another movie that I really, really liked whenever I was younger, like I thought it creeped me out, was The Others with Nicole Kidman. Like, I liked the ending. I thought the beginning was cool. Like, uh, it was suspenseful, but not gory. Like, it didn't need blood. Like, it was still weird and creepy, and like the kids couldn't go outside, and why couldn't they go outside? Like, I don't know. What did you guys think about that one?
I liked
never
it.
seen it.
What was that? Go ahead, Kirk. Go ahead.
I was just going to say I haven't seen it, so I didn't.
Oh, okay. What about you, Jen?
I'm with you. I like that movie for a lot of different reasons. One, yeah, it although once you've seen it, when you watch it again, then it loses a little bit of its impact, obviously, because you know what's going on. But it's funny because if you watch that movie a couple of times, you'll notice that they drop hints all the way through the movie about what's really going on,
Right.
and we're just too dumb to pick it up. And I really liked that because I didn't get it either. I thought it was I actually really like it. I loved her performance especially, but I really loved that little girl. She was just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Josh, if you could pick, we talked about this last week. What if you could pick any horror movie, like icon, villain, creature that was your favorite growing up? Who would you pick?
My favorite growing up. Does it have to be when I was growing up?
Yeah, or like
Like-
now, like if it's still like resonated.
Okay, let's see. I'd say right now it's probably Jigsaw.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
There's definitely a strong psychological factor there that, whenever I walk out of a movie theater going, Jesus Christ, what would I do to survive? Could I do that? And the answer is, I don't know. And the premise makes you stop and think, which is so strange for modern horror. Everyone these days seems to rely on the same old jump scares, or look how much gore we can put in this with our computers. It's nice to see a movie franchise, even though it kind of petered out there, a movie franchise rely on the psychological aspect rather than the physical. Although there's a lot of physical.
Yeah, but like in the first couple of Saw movies, actually the first three, I mean, they were like few and far between. I mean, it built up, and it didn't like. Once it came, it was pretty intense, but it built up to it. And I like movies like that, actually. It just treats you intelligently, actually.
Yeah, the gore that it presented felt earned when it came.
Yeah. Yes, good point. Yeah, that's exactly.
It was
Um,
smartly done.
What do you guys think about? You probably won't like it, but I forgot what they call this genre. But have you guys ever seen Unfriended?
Yes.
Uh, where everything takes place on the computer screen, the whole movie. And I mean, I think I really did enjoy this film. I thought it was excellent. The sequel to Unfriended, Dark Web. Um, I thought it was very well done, and they did another movie called Searching too, with the same kind of concept, which was a really good movie. But I like that everything's on the computer screen, and they just kept it up. I mean, I thought it was excellent, and it built up and everything, and you know,
What about Truth or Dare if we're going to go that route? Like, I think that they're kind of similar. Have you guys seen that one?
yeah, I
I
saw
saw
it
Truth or
actually.
Dare.
I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the creepy smile movie.
Yes.
Right after quarantine, well, like in the middle of the year, during quarantine, I watched a movie on Shudder called Host, and it was basically a Zoom conference, and they had a seance, and everything goes wrong, and each one of the participants ends up with something crazy happening. I won't give anything away because you really should watch it. It's actually really good. But it's that kind of movie. It's the same kind of movie as Unfriended, where everything is happening basically in virtual space, and we really don't see anything happening, quote unquote, in real time. Like, we're not seeing from a third person perspective. We're seeing everything from the camera, from the screen perspective. And it was really imaginatively done. And you're right, it is a lot like Unfriended.
Oh, what about I mean, I want to see that. I haven't checked that out yet. What about this film, Hereditary? Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I seen it. I'm still not too sure about it. Actually.
Really? I love this
I
film.
loved Hereditary.
Yeah,
I thought, and the ending is. I'm not going to give it away. The ending is awesome. I mean, it's one of those movies you got to see it multiple times.
I thought the girl was amazing in that movie. The little girl.
Yeah.
She was unbelievable. And then I hated to see her go in the middle of the movie, but
you just spoiled it. Right?
Well,
if you haven't seen Hereditary by now,
yeah, come on, you're not missing anything. Oh, it's okay.
Really. I'm not really giving up anything.
Next, Kirk is gonna spoil Jaws. Watch.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What about the Fallen?
Which one of those?
1998.
Oh, you mean wait, no, it was called something else. Fallen. Are you talking about Denzel movie?
Yeah.
It was called Fallen. Just Fallen.
Is that the one where the demon jumps go, or demon jumps people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that was good.
And they're singing "Time Is on My Side."
I like that one. That was one of those ones like you were just talking about, Tory, where it's not very clear exactly what's happening, and so it ends up being a little bit of a mystery to put all together. I think that actually made it good.
Yeah.
You know what? And Josh, I want to hear from you on this one.
Okay.
How have we not mentioned Seven?
Of course. I was just about to mention it, but yeah, of course.
Seven. Can I get a what's in the box? Can I get a what's in the box, Josh? Come on, you can do it. Let me hear your what's in the box impersonation.
What's in the box?
Wait, is Seven actually a horror movie?
Oh yeah,
Is it a horror movie? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah,
it's not a rom-com, okay?
I didn't say it was a rom-com.
Is it not?
Well, I don't know. Brad Pitt is in it, so.
Hell yeah, that's a horror movie. Didn't someone get murdered with a a 18-inch dildo or something to strap on? Like,
No, that was American Horror Story, right?
that was in 7. Remember?
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, that's a and great job too.
The guy who was burned in the bed.
Yeah.
The reason that I ask is because I've always seen Seven more as a crime thriller more than an actual horror story. And this is one of those interesting conversations that definitely we should have sometime about what does make a horror movie, because even when you look at genre titles, like if you look at IMDb's genre titles, they're different from what another streaming or another a streaming site will do. Netflix even classifies things differently from Amazon Prime, and so it makes kind of an interesting discussion about which movies qualify. Because I mean, you're right. I think based on what you just said, you could classify it as a horror.
And remember, according to the great philosopher Jamie Kennedy, Showgirls is a horror film as well.
Oh God!
Especially the TBS cut.
Okay.
What about Final Destination?
Oh, you know what? Okay, let me bring that up. That is a great movie. The first 3 movies were great. And if you are an X-Files fan, Morgan and Wong, the great writers from the X-Files, was the ones that created it. They did the first and the third one. That is a great movie. A great concept. Then it got stupid, obviously, after the
It got played out.
Yeah, which kind of leads me to one thing I wanted to bring up too. Horror on TV.
Okay.
I wanted to go back actually to well, you brought up the guys who did that movie. It also did X-Files.
Right.
And they did probably the best horror episode I've ever seen out of any series, called Home.
Great.
About the 3 inbred brothers and the mother. Yeah, unbelievable episode. Unbelievable. Amazing that it ever got on TV.
Great fucking episode. It's a classic.
It is. It's the best thing I've ever seen on X-Files, actually. And
it's in the top 5 greatest X-Files episodes. I'm a huge X-Files fan, so this episode is so damn good. It just blows your mind.
Again, it's one of those things. I never knew what was. I didn't know anything about the episode, and I actually saw it when it came out, and it came out on Halloween, and afterwards they stopped airing it on TV. It was only aired once,
right?
And when it came out, so
I didn't know that. I watched it on Hulu, so it didn't really count. I watched all of them. I decided to take a binge watch of the X-Files, and it took me 2.5 weeks, but I finished the whole series.
Yeah.
So can I ask another quick question? Because we just talked about Final Destination. So
absolutely.
What is your favorite horror franchise?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, let's see. What's my favorite horror franchise?
Oh, wait. I know Tory's favorite.
What? What's my favorite?
50 Shades of Grey.
That's pretty scary.
No, we said horror, not horrible.
I will say the Saw series. I liked that it was intellectual. I liked that you never knew what was really going to happen. You didn't know how they were going to react. You didn't know if they were going to get it. And the ending was always good. Well, okay. The first 3 I thought were excellent.
Yeah,
but
same here.
Then it got a little old. I mean, he, once he died, it kind of was like, But that's mine. What about yours, Kurt?
Phantasm.
Okay.
Good choice.
Yeah, I
Oh man.
I love those movies. They're 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 kind of along the same line as the Evil Dead movies, like where they kind of bridge the line of horror and comedy a little. Um, but actually, Phantasm is more horror actually. But I don't know. I just thought it was each one was imaginative. Each one they kind of bought something new uh, to the series, and I don't know. And actually they only had like five of them. They didn't go like ape shit like the Friday the 13th films. Um, yeah, and they only had like five films, and like I said, each one was they kind of bought something to it, and I just enjoyed them.
Um, I would say episode 7, 8, and 9 of the Star Wars. It's pretty bad, but no. I love Michael Myers, man. Michael Myers is the people's champ, and uh, I would say three of those movies are pretty good. I know a lot of them are pretty bad, but you know, I just like Michael Myers, man. I think he's the coolest one. He can drive, you know, he has the cool William Shatner, face and all that kind of stuff. I think he looks the coolest, you know. He's the only one that ages really, like he's getting old. Like the next one, he's gonna be using a walker,
Yeah,
but because he's so real, like he's like a real, like his superpower is just being fucking evil. Like you know what I'm saying? Like he literally gets superpowers from just being an evil dude. He is so much like people I've worked for. But yeah, I'm a big Halloween fan. And then after this, I have a question too for the panel. But Josh, I'm gonna pass the mic to you.
All right, my favorite franchise. It's really hard to say because Saw, they took that ability to take one event and get like five movies from different angles, and I thought that was pretty clever. And on the other hand, you got the Purge series, right?
Oh, great, yeah.
Where you're taking one concept, but coming at it from multiple points of view. And those are two really awesome tricks that I think could be used for franchises rather than, okay, we're following the same thing and then it's just all throughout, we follow one thing. But for the sake of having to pick one, I'm going to go with The Purge as my favorite series. Not that I necessarily think it's the best series, but it's the one that I think, like I said, I like the fact that it's a bunch of different movies from a bunch of different perspectives about an event, that happens annually, and the socio-political implications, that they throw in there are pretty neat too.
I have two things to say about the Purge. One is I totally think Josh would be purging if there was a purge. He seems like a perjury
Gotta get
guy.
a PS5 somehow.
But also, people, if you're a filmmaker out there and you have the blessing to have a series of films that come out, don't call your fourth film the first Purge to confuse the shit out of people. Like the fourth film is called The First Purge. So then you'll be like, oh, what did you go see? Oh, The First Purge. Wait, I thought that was out like five years ago. No, it's the new movie, but it's called The First Purge. It is so freaking confusing. Like they could have called it anything else, like the first time we started purging or something. I don't know, but don't call it. That's a confusing title. But I actually enjoyed that film. When you see black gangsters killing KKK members, priceless.
So what? Okay, before Jen answers. Okay, no, Jen, go. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, my favorite franchise is Hellraiser.
Ah,
One, I mean, not all the movies are great, but I love the fact that there is so much that goes with the Hellraiser. There's novels, there's comics, there's a bestiary for Hellraiser. There's just so much that goes along with it, and the source material for Hellraiser is so rich. Clive Barker's imagination is just an absolute nightmare to kind of
yes.
crawl around in, and it's amazing.
Hey, puppy. And
Yeah,
Jen would totally date Pinhead.
I do actually. I mean, we weren't making it public, but thank you for outing me. That was great.
Hey, no problem. Pinhead's a quite a catch.
You might say he has kind of, no, I'm not going to even
You're
go there.
stuck. You're stuck to him.
I, I was gonna say that, and then I thought, no.
So one movie that I really liked, like the scene in the basement and the nurses like really creeped me out, was House on Haunted Hill. Both of them, the original and the remake.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. House on Haunted Hill. All right, I have a question. I have a question that I want to pose to the. Wait, somebody's background's pretty loud. Okay, so I have a question I want to pose to the panel. We'll start off with Jen. Now we've had Freddy versus Jason, Godzilla versus King Kong, Alien versus Predator, Elmo versus Barney.
Oh God.
Give me your another versus. You can't use those guys of two iconic horror film characters. I'll start it off by saying I would pay money to see Leprechaun versus Chucky. I think that would be the best battle ever. It'd be funny because they're both comedians, right? So they're gonna have great lines and stuff. And I just think Chucky versus Leprechaun would be funny. And I think it should end with Chucky getting his pot of gold. So, Jen, who do you got?
All right. I want to see a showdown between Hannibal Lecter
Mm.
and the Leatherface from Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh wow, Hannibal Lecter, I think loses that one in a walkaway.
Yeah, you think so? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean they both like that mystery meat, But
It kind of works,
I think I kind of think they'd become friends.
Don't you think that would make an epic? Wouldn't that make an epic story idea, though? I think so, because
Right.
there's
If he
something.
can, if he can use multiple MIGs as a shield, maybe then he got a chance. So
See, the thing that I like about both of them is that they really are both human. I mean, I don't just mean this like cartoonishly. I mean, they really are underneath it human. And so they have the same kind of flaws, which makes them extremely exploitable to each other. So Hannibal Lecter has all the intelligence and the brains, and Leatherface has something more visceral, more physical, more. There's just something about that pairing that seems pretty amazing.
I agree.
I'm curious to see what Kirk's going to say about this one.
Well, actually, I've always thought that these the two that I'm picking were basically the same, and actually they're from the Hitchcock, both from Hitchcock films. One is the I can't remember the guy's name, the character's name, but Robert Walker played him in Strangers on a Train, and Norman Bates.
Huh. Okay.
And they're basically had the same kind of background, kind of a mother fixation. So,
Yeah, that's true. They do have a mother fixation. Yeah, definitely.
I don't know, I just think that would be, and they're both intelligent to a point, and but Yeah, I thought that would be interesting, the two of them together.
Bruno. His name was Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno, very good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was
Thank
it.
you.
Sorry,
Thank
I didn't
you.
mean to break in. Yeah.
No, thank you.
What about you, Josh?
Well, I have a couple of quick questions. One, if it's a movie series and technically this person only appeared in one of the movies, would that still count?
Sure.
Okay, I'm about to ask a blasphemous question for horror fans. What was the name of Linda Blair's character in The Exorcist?
Reagan.
Reagan.
Very
Okay.
good.
So I want to see Reagan versus Ash from The Evil Dead.
No, there you go. Yeah.
The power of boomstick compels you.
Yeah.
So we all know that Ash wins that battle, but what an epic fight that would be.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm hoping for.
I don't know. That pea soup might if she's able to spew it on him, that might do the trick.
No, that's a good one actually. I've never thought of that.
Did you do yours, Tori?
No, but I want to say that Pennywise versus Hellraiser would be a really good one.
Ooh. Oh, that's a scary one, Tori.
Because Pennywise, he lures people in, and Hellraiser kind of fucks with people's minds, and it would be a good pairing. I think it would be like a good celebrity death match. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I really the level of mind messing that would go on with that is just so enormous that like I can almost feel it like an atomic bomb rippling. Like a whole not a whole town, a whole state would be affected. You could just viscerally feel it. Also, I'd kind of like to see Pennywise go to hell. That would be
Yeah. That's where he deserves to go, right? Capturing little kids.
Yeah, he's pretty much a sick bastard. Pennywise.
Oh, oops, I muted myself. So I think that like we've gone over some really cool shit, but like what I want to talk about now is favorite actors. Kirk kind of mentions actors whenever he talks about the films, but like who do you think? I just said it's a summer home there. That's funny. But like one of the things that I think that makes horror movies iconic is the actors, because you can have a really good horror movie, a really good screenplay, a really good concept, but if you have the wrong actor, it's not going to come out right. Just like any movie, you know what I mean? So, who do you find, Kinte? You already brought him up, didn't you? Yep.
Yeah.
The great Tony Todd.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Who
I love that movie.
I met him
Absolutely.
I met him in a grocery store, and he's just as cool as he is in his movies.
Nice.
I just
And yeah.
saw the film for the first time a couple months ago. Because I've never seen it before, and I thought it was just unbelievably filmed. And just a great character.
Yeah, he's a fantastic actor.
Sweets to the Sweet was actually one of my most favorite recipe collections that I made for Movies Make the Meal. We watched all of the Candyman movies. I didn't even know that there were so many, but and they were all so good. Every single time he's on the screen, he just commands attention.
Yeah, Tony Todd is awesome. And Tori is muted, you guys.
Oh, she said, oh, you met Tony Todd? That's cool.
Yeah. One of my great experiences ever is meeting Tony Todd. Well, okay, no, it was meeting Jen, but different reasons.
Okay, so Jen, who's probably one of your favorite actors or actresses?
Oh, hands down, Christopher Lee. Especially since we're talking about the origins of horror. Christopher Lee made so many characters become who they are in our everyday or in our modern day mythos. His portrayal of Dracula really spawned other writers in particular to write Dracula in a totally different direction than Bram Stoker, which is just, I mean, to me, it just blows my mind how he actually molded the character into something that then people now go back to and go, yeah, that's actually Dracula. That's how he's supposed to behave. So he wins.
And he's Count Dooku as well.
Yeah, and that, yeah, and he was also Saruman in Lord of the Rings. So.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Yeah.
was Saruman.
He was Count Dooku. You know why he's Count Dooku? Because he's the shit.
God.
Wait, I was like, let me give you a little Count Dooku.
I can't stand you right now.
Man, I don't know how old he is.
What a great name too, by the way. That's a great name.
I don't know how old he is in that picture, but that guy is he is just timelessly handsome. Amazing. Just amazing. Man, I hope I age that gracefully. I really hope so.
What about you, Josh? What do you think?
So many directions you can go in, but for me, it's pretty obvious. The king himself, Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
He will always be the guy that introduced me to, for lack of a better term, schlocky horror. And as much as I love the Evil Dead movies and Army of Darkness and all of that, Bubba Hotep. My name is Bruce.
Oh yeah, that's
a hidden gem there, where he just plays himself.
Yeah, I know that is good.
So yeah, Bruce Campbell, the icon for me, my hero.
Your hero.
If you ever chance, I don't know if you guys listen to books on tape. It's not usually my thing, but I listened to the audiobook for How to Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way. Full cast reading, great story. It is hilarious.
Yeah, the audio commentary for Bubba Hotep is worth the price of the movie, actually, because he does it as Elvis during the whole movie. So
you know the sequel to Freddy versus Jason was going to be Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Yeah. I know it's a comic book.
Yeah. So, but he felt like he had to be the winner. You know. So.
Yeah. So, what about you, Kente?
I did Tony Todd.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm next.
Yeah, Carrot, you are next. Go ahead.
Well, you brought up Christopher Lee. I actually, and you're talking about creating a different take on Dracula. I love Peter Cushing. His take on Van Helsing, especially in what I think arguably is the best vampire movie Hammer put out, and that's Brides of Dracula.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, especially the scene where he gets bit, and what he does, he basically takes an iron and heats it up and cauterizes the wound, and it's just even in the first film, the character is so energetic, I guess, or just especially the end, how he kills him, and
right.
But actually his performance in Brides of Dracula, I think is just I absolutely love that movie, and I love him in that. So
Now,
and
now,
hey,
Kurt. Now,
wait,
Kurt.
in another wait 1 second, and in another Kinte excellent segue, right? Peter Cushing also was in Star Wars, so
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah, I know.
Kirk,
I know.
Kirk, Kirk, you guys keep setting me up with these loves. Grand, he was also Grand Marv Tarkin. So you know,
There's some Captain
Yeah,
Kirk
I
in
thought
him.
it was, I
He
thought
has
it
to
was
there,
go.
weird when they did that standalone Star Wars film. I can't remember the name of it.
Rogue One.
Rogue One, where they animated him or did the digital. I thought that was bizarre. I couldn't get over that every time they showed him.
yep.
It
Yeah.
just it looked so weird. But yeah,
See, if Jen brought up the bridge over the River Kauai, she knows where I'm gonna go with it.
yeah.
So
That's
my
her
favorite.
favorite. That's her favorite movie of all time.
So my favorite actor as a horror movie actor, you guys are gonna laugh at me, but I think Robert Englund was just awesome. Like he portrayed Freddy in a way that was perfect for the time period, and he was creepy, and like, I'm going to get tattooed on me. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. Like, I just love it. Like, the whole Nightmare on Elm Street series just really, really tickled me whenever I was little. Like, this is why I love horror movies. This is what I grew up on. I'm an 80s baby. So I guess that's why I chose this one.
How
Robert
sweet.
Englund was Freddy.
Yeah.
There is no Freddy without him. Like, even if they tried to reboot it, I think it would fall so flat because you need
Well, they
his
actually did.
energy.
They actually did reboot
How
it.
sweet, fresh meat.
Yeah.
He said, what did he say? He said, welcome to prime time, bitch. My favorite scene, one of my favorite Freddy scenes was in part 2, the one that everybody forgets about,
Yeah,
where he's going around killing everybody at the barbecue and
Oh,
the
yeah.
swimming pool.
party. And then
He
this
jumped
one
off.
guy, comes out and he goes, "Hey, it's okay, man. Whatever the problem is, it'll be okay." He's giving Freddy a speech, and Freddy's just looking at him. And then he said, "We're here to help." And he said, "Help yourself, fucker." And then he,
See, it's like the reason. Okay, so do you guys? I can't. I don't know why I just thought of this name. The name. It's it's where, like, the girl grows up and she is an adult. Wes Craven's New Nightmare,
Oh,
and
right.
the Freddy hand was like the one. Yeah, like, I loved that movie. I was like 12 and I would play it on VHS over and over and over again. It's just, I don't know why. Like, the phone instead of calling, like, I just liked it.
Tori, I won't ask you how old you are, okay? Because I don't want to because I would not want you to ask me how old I am either. But I am going to say that I too was an 80s kid, and as kind of a weird club, 80s kids we seem to have an affinity for horror that is really tuned in differently than a lot of other people, and it's really obvious when you start talking about what I consider to be the classics, which really all start in the late 70s and early 80s and then go through. But I have broadened my horizons over the past couple of years. I mean, really the past 10 years. But one of the things that I keep going back to is how vibrant horror is in the late 70s, early 80s, and how totally different it is today. Like, you can barely recognize what horror is today compared to what it was in the 80s. And I just wanted to know how you felt about that.
Well,
Sorry, my mute button wasn't on mute. So, okay, so I think that as it's the slasher films, we were used to Michael Myers and Jason and Freddy, and we were used to, and this is where the gore started too. This is where the blood really started, and like, in my opinion, like this is where like horror movies turned into gore movies, like it wasn't so much suspense anymore and innuendos and foreshadowing and all this other stuff that made older horror movies great. And we became a little desensitized to seeing killing on screen. It was a little different than like it was putting a face to things instead of monsters killing you. It's people killing you, and I think that has a lot to do with how we see horror movies nowadays too.
Do you think horror movies make for the best date films?
I personally do. Give me a horror movie and pizza, and I am there. That is the best first date.
Fellas, all you guys are trying to date Tory. I just unlocked the secret.
Can can I mention one thing? I don't mean to keep jabbering on. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to mention that I think that sometimes, without sounding, elitist or snobby or anything, I think that horror today has fallen into two kinds of categories, right? One is sort of the back to basics. Hey, let's go make a good horror movie, and it's hit or miss. And then there's the horror movies that try, like Hereditary, to be a wider allegory of darker stories, and The Witch is one of those, right? And then when I look back at what was kind of happening in the 80s, and I mean, at the time, of course, I wouldn't have been sort of cognizant of wider allegories and deeper meanings and stories. But what I get is we moved from, like you said, the monster movies of the 60s into the no, we're the monsters. People are the monsters. And like we haven't quite moved into a new realm, into a different direction. We're still stuck on the we're the monsters. And until we come up with whatever it is that we're going to come up with that's new, I kind of wonder if we're just sort of in a holding pattern.
But if you think about it, Twilight Zone, that was a lot of the themes that we're the monsters.
That's a good point.
I just wanted to sound really smart.
That's a good point. Do you agree or do you disagree? I mean,
I agree. I agree. I think there is. You know what's funny? I never got really scared about like a monster. I knew it didn't exist. The things that scared me were things that I know could happen. Right? Like even though I live in LA, but being trapped on a bed of thin ice. The police chasing you. You know, forgetting to bring your wallet when you're taking Tory on a date and she has to pay. Things that are real scary. So I'm just saying, like, to me, the common everyday things were way more scarier to me. I used to have fun with the monster, like critters, and I don't know, we didn't mention critters, but and Chud, and those all those crazy things. But it does make your imagination. I think it is more of imaginative. Uh, would you say Gremlins is a horror film?
First
Quasi.
one is. First
Yeah.
one is more. First one is more horror than anything
Right.
else. Yeah.
So, like, those kind of things, those are very imaginative and stuff like that. And it does tap into a childlike thing inside of you when you watch things that are not necessarily of this planet, or you know it does make you take your mind to somewhere else, but that the critters are not going to be coming for you.
Yeah, one movie that like creeped me out that was like it could happen was Fire in the Sky. And I know it's more like alien sci-fi, but like I okay. So there was this show called Sightings. Do you guys remember that?
I
Yeah,
remember.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember
Okay.
that.
Okay, so they had like all these episodes about aliens, and like I was young. I was probably like 8 or 9, maybe even younger. And I
Okay.
would
Oh,
watch
10
this.
years, 10 years ago.
Yes, 10 years ago. And I would I would watch these shows, like it would came on 8 and 9 o'clock at night, and then I'd go to bed. And my we had a pool, we had an in-ground pool when I was growing up, and they had lights in the pool to light up the pool at night, right? Well, I was so scared that I was going to get abducted by aliens that I would tell my mother to not put the lights on in the pool because it would attract the aliens and they would abduct me.
This all seems very reasonable so far.
And so, like, I was terrified of aliens. So when Fire in the Sky came out, like, it was like the Greys. They're the scariest aliens, in my opinion. The big eyes, like, I hate them. And like, I don't now. I love them now, but like, that movie just creeped me out. And like, it was so real. Like it could really happen. Like this guy was so normal, and I was just like, oh my god! Like I was looking into the sky for fire, like for real.
And it's based on a true story, too. Oh, that's adorable. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like Alien Mania was more like the '90s. Now it's kind of making a comeback to a certain degree with some of these new revelations. But I was there was a time you couldn't you couldn't tell me aliens didn't exist. Now it's just like, we'll see.
Yeah, we were talking about X-Files before, and I always thought that the best episodes of that series were the standalone ones. Were the ones that they weren't about the alien conspiracy or anything like that. Because I always thought that slowed the series down, I guess. But I always loved the standalone ones. The tombs. The guy who every 7 years takes feeds on the liver, I guess. There was a fluke man, the guy who lived in the sewers.
Oh, I remember that one.
Yeah, and the standalone ones of that series I loved, but whenever they started talking about the aliens, I just
Wait a minute.
rolled my
Okay.
eyes. There you go.
Well,
Yeah,
okay. I got to say something about that as the resident X Files expert,
yeah, I know. Yeah,
and I loved all of them, and I love the mythology episodes. Okay, but the best episode I think of all the X Files episodes was a standalone alien episode, and it was called Jose Chung's from Outer Space.
yes, yeah. I was just gonna say that was cool. Yeah, I was
That
just gonna.
is
Yeah, that was.
that is one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen. I mean, it actually had Alex Trebek
Back. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Jesse Ventura in there, like and Charles Nelson Riley. It's just
Oh my god.
great like just a terrific episode. But I think that's the best X Files episode. That
Yeah,
episode is
yeah,
funny. It
yeah.
has
That and home,
everything,
I think is yeah.
and it wasn't a mythology episode, but we could do a whole X Files uh, thing. But I'll
Yes.
be talking about.
Okay. So that's the next episode of Infectious Geek. We're gonna do it all about X Files, just for you, Kente.
Hey, I won't be. And believe me, I remember the title. That's the first show That's the first show where I knew the names of the directors and the writers of the episodes, and I knew the titles. I mean, I to this day I still remember that stuff. So I'm big fan of that. Still, I have all of everything on Blu-ray. I have all the Chris Carter shows, Millennium. I have the Lone Gunman, Harsh Realm, all of that stuff. So, but
Can I ask? And it's not X Files related. It's actually, but it's related to like stuff that right now is in the zeitgeist. So when you guys saw, or did you see? I don't know if you did. King Kong versus Godzilla. Were you at all happy to see the big monsters back, or do you think that we do better when we like hone in, kind of like you were talking about with the X-Files, on the smaller stuff, the conspiracy stuff, the different stuff, not the big giant gargantuan monsters?
All right, I'm gonna tell you. Has everybody seen King Kong versus Godzilla?
I have,
I
yeah,
have.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The thing I was happy the most was I am a Godzilla super fan. I believe Godzilla is the people's champ. I never liked King Kong. I think he's a. I hate him as a character. I've never rooted for King Kong. And the best thing about that movie was Godzilla got that ass. So even though they kind of gave him, they gave him taking out Mecha Godzilla, but I'm a big fan of. So that movie had the correct person winning. So that's what mattered the most.
To Kente, that's all that mattered.
But do you like? I mean, because I was thinking about this the other day. Right, we were talking. The people that I watch movies with, we were talking about how there's this sort of mini resurgence in larger than life everything, larger than life, the kaiju from Pacific Rim, the big monsters, the resurgence of the big stuff, and I mean big stuff in size. And we were talking about how that is an odd reflection of where we are right now in just sort of our collective culture, and how everything bigger is better. And
That's where I'm sorry, Jen. That's where you go whenever you. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go.
How many wines have you had over there, Tory?
I can do that dance, and I will not be doing it tonight.
You're right, Jen.
I'm just curious.
That's what that was missing from the movie. Why didn't he do the Godzilla dance when he won? Like, come on.
Because he would have rattled too many Tokyo windows.
Cause another tsunami.
Here, you know what? One more time for all the fans.
I haven't had any
there's
wine.
somebody in that suit doing that dance. Wow. Yeah. All right.
Okay,
tell me,
so,
Tory.
What? Oh, yeah, about the big monsters. I think that the insurgent is that people like to go back to that. So like that in their childhood, they probably were like, "Oh my God, Godzilla!" And now they're older and they want their kids to experience Godzilla, so they're bringing it back. Just like Star Wars and all that.
Tory, why are you talking about me, Tory?
But that's my personal opinion. But honestly, I think that like when people think of iconic horror movies in a general sense, sci-fi stuff, they think of Godzilla and they think of King Kong and they think of that whole scary monster like the Blob and like Swamp Man and all that kind of stuff. Frankenstein. These are monsters that can kill you and they're going to come out like eat your brains, and like that's always going to be kind of like comic book characters. I'm going to make a reference there, kind of like comic book characters. They are always going to be sellable, marketable. You can get toys, you can get the coloring books, you can get the lunch boxes, and they're going to sell for a long time. The movie might not be out anymore, but their merchandise is still going to sell. You know what I mean?
I absolutely do, and I think in some ways you're right. There is this like super desire to go back to nostalgia because that feels comfortable. But I also think that there is something to seeing like this. It's almost like, forgive me for saying it this way, because if you watch Korean horror and if you watch sort of overseas horror, you get a totally different picture of what's happening in the world, right? But for us, we tend to get tired of stuff. So we go through the Draculas, we go through the zombies, we go through the whatever it is, and then we get tired of it and we need to move on to whatever is next. And it's almost like we are sort of in a collective everybody's tired phase. And so horror to me now feels like it is moving in the direction where it's like very introspective, it's very looking at the inside of who people are. And again, people are still monsters, but sort of, getting into the real fine layer of dirt under there. And when people see the monster movies, they're like, oh, look, something shiny. This is amazing. Look. And sometimes I wonder if that, I don't know. I don't know how that plays out. That's why I brought it up, because I don't really know what to think about it. I just noticed that it's something that happens.
No, I agree with you. It's a very interesting topic. Maybe it's a topic we should do on a future show. Yeah. But you know what? I gotta call Josh out before we go. Before we say goodbye.
Call me out.
How do you not bring up the ring? No one's brought up the ring.
Ooh.
There's a lot of things that weren't brought up.
Can I get it? Can I get it 7 days, Josh?
No.
Oh my God!
All
So
right.
I have a
Trivia.
funny-
Here's
I have-
trivia. Here's trivia, real quick. The girl from the ring, her right there, or
Samara.
Samara.
Yeah.
If you watch the show Big Love, the show Big Love,
Yeah.
that was on HBO.
With Bill Paxton, right?
Yeah, the character Rhonda from that show, that's the same girl.
No.
Yeah, they're the same person.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and she's a great character. The Rhonda
That's a good
character.
piece of trivia.
Yeah.
So there was this funny story. I had a girlfriend of mine who we loved the ring. We loved the ring. I was going to bring it up, but I forgot.
Just blame Josh.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
and like she started texting me 7 days, and like then she would text me like the next day 6 days. Like it would be the most random times. Like I'd be like really busy doing something or like laying down or something, and it was always like 4 o'clock in the afternoon or like 10 o'clock at night. It was really funny.
When it's that time of the month, do you get a phone call that says 7 days?
Yes. Yeah. It's sad. Makes me sad. But all right. So I think this definitely warrants to go back to
Very fun episode.
a very fun episode. So I think that maybe like in the future we can have a part 3. I think next week we're gonna go change gears a little bit, but yes. But this was a great episode. Thank you guys so much for coming out and yeah, definitely informative and fun. I thought that this was great. So let's see where everybody is on social media. We're gonna start with Josh first. How can everybody find you on social media, buddy?
Well, as per usual, you can find me on Twitter at SkidComic or at WadcastPod or at Semicore Studios. Those are the 3 main Twitter accounts that I use. And I use the term use really loosely there. I'm on there every once in a while. I tweet things. Like if you follow me on SkidComic, I might throw up a remix that I made from Fuser. Check that out. There's some cool videos up there. And as always, promote the Wadcast, which you can listen to every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at the Wadcast Facebook page.
Awesome.
And WAD stands for white and dope.
Which
Yes.
of course he is. He's white and dope. That's great.
But it can also stand for writers, actors, and directors.
No, mine's way better, dude. Stick with mine.
Dual meanings.
Okay, Jen, how can everybody find you on social media?
Well, I'm a sort of like Josh. You can find me on social media, but I don't know if there's anything interesting there. I'm on Twitter at Following Bliss. Otherwise, that's kind of all of my social media at the moment. But you can go to my website, called moviesandmeals.com, and that's kind of my latest, greatest passion. So that's where I am.
Awesome. I'm going to check that out tomorrow. What about you, Kirk? Where can people find you on Instagram and Facebook?
Captain Kirk.
Yeah, K Smith on Facebook, Kirk David Smith at Instagram.
Okay, awesome. And what about you, Kente?
Okay, and you can get me at Kente F on Twitter, Kente Ferguson on Instagram, and indyradio.org, indyradio.org. And I want to get started a show that we've been planning on doing called Pilot Season. This is where we watch a pilot of a drama and a pilot of a sitcom,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and we discuss it. So we're just talking about the pilot alone. So and I would love to have you guys on it. And we're going to shake it up. It's going to be from different eras. So we might watch the pilot of ER. We might watch the pilot of Andy Griffith Show. We might watch the pilot of Leave It to Beaver. We might watch the pilot of Just Shoot Me. Probably not, but you know.
I love Just Shoot Me.
So but yeah. So that's coming in the near future. I got to talk to Jen about it because Jen is my handler.
Okay, awesome. All right, so you can find me on Facebook at Tory Rush, ToryRush. You can also find me on Instagram at Rush Tory. That again is ToryRush. And then
Is that a suggestion
yes.
to
Yes,
Rush Story?
yes. Oh God. So then you can also find me on the Infectious Geek as a page on Facebook, and whenever we have an episode, we'll put it up there. I mean, I don't have Twitter anymore. I have a Snapchat. Tory Rush 21.
Is Tory Rush your actual name? It sounds like a stage name.
It's Victoria Rush. That's my government name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I always meant to ask you that. That sounds like
I'm so jealous. Did the government give you a name? God, they didn't around giving me one.
I only feel like people call me Victoria whenever I'm in trouble, like whenever I get arrested or.
What about Vicky?
Oh no.
Yeah, I think I bought that up one time. Yeah.
No Sticky Vicky.
No, and no Victoria's Secret either. But all right, so thanks to you guys for coming on, and we're gonna do this again soon. So see us next week, and same bat time, same bat place. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week. Bye.
Take care.